Welcome to LearnDoBecome Radio, episode 200. This is April Perry and
Eric Perry. Hooray, 200!
We're here together today and excited to be able to share a few ideas.
This is the podcast that almost didn't happen.
Why did it almost not happen?
Because we started the podcast and we planned for it and we didn't, and then we...
Okay, Eric and I... A lot of times I do most of the podcasting, not because I don't love podcasting with Eric, but because often I come up with ideas, I run up in the podcast room, I record podcasts, and then Eric's...
She disappears for like an hour or two. She has some great ideas, and then she comes back an hour or two. There's like, I recorded some podcasts, and I think they actually were pretty good. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's great. So I actually enjoy podcasting, but I think April and I, it's a little bit of a struggle trying to coordinate who's going to say what, who's going to do what. Do you want to do the intro? Do I do the intro? Should we do it that way? Should we not? So episode 200 would have happened. It would have happened without me, but now it's happening with us, and here we go.
Well, the thing is, Eric and I run LearnDoBecome together. We're very much together every day in the planning and the details and everything going on here. And we love this community so much. And today we want to be able to inspire you with stories from the community. The whole idea with this 200th episode was to find ways people were applying the podcast and highlight them and share what they're actually doing in their lives. Because this podcast isn't just so you can listen to me and Eric, or so Eric and I can squabble.
And we'll get past this marital silliness now. And actually, that is the purpose of this podcast. Like 200 episodes, we're really, really grateful for each of you in our community who have taken time to listen to one or more of our podcasts. We hope that they've been helpful. And I think really April does a wonderful job. She has some great insights and impressions and just things that she's thinking about or studying or reading or things that she hears from our community. And she organizes some great podcasts and really records them with love. And so we wanted to be able to highlight things that we've heard back from you about ways that the podcast has hopefully been a benefit to you and ways that you've learned and grown and become more of the person that you want to be, because that's truly what we are about here at LearnDoBecome. So we are just excited to celebrate our whole community, you and each person listening, because that's what we're doing this for. It's not to try to promote ourselves or the community we've built, but to grow together as a community.
Well, in one of our recent Arise calls, we have this Arise membership, and one of our Arise community members said, Eric, I'm so glad you're here, because you're kind of the more sarcastic voice, and you kind of balance April out.
April's sweet and wonderful and has lots of great ideas and things and helps us, but you're kind of that sarcasm, that barb there, and the humor. And I'm like, okay, well, as long as I don't bother anybody or offend anybody, I'm happy to do what I can. So anyway, we have some fun together.
We deeply love each other, and we're glad to be here. And we are open about how it's not always easy to make everything happen. And I think you know that in your own life, trying to work with anyone, whether it's a partner or a family member or a team or
coworker.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but what we've heard from our community members and what we're about to share with you now really just helps us to see that this is worth it. This means a lot, and it's inspiring how you all are helping each other. So welcome to the 200th episode, and thank you. So should we just jump right in?
Here we go, episode 200.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'll start by reading Pam's story. Pam says, I joined the LearnDoBecome community a few years ago and got my Command Central put together and used it a bit. But life gets in the way. And my routines weren't working very well, so projects didn't get focused on since I was scrambling to get routines done. I was constantly in my inbox trying to recall what I needed to do and trying to make sure that nothing was falling through the cracks. And I decided to listen straight through the podcasts on repeat. She said all of the mindsets and the structures and the processes were sinking in slowly but surely, even though I wasn't necessarily putting them all into practice. This past year, we had 4 deaths in the family, on top of the fact I was the executrix of an estate that was a mess and going on month 21. My inbox got totally out of control and I was sinking. Fast forward to today, I sat down at my computer this morning, determined to tackle some of it. I set my timer for spurts of 20 minutes and used the systems that had been simmering. In addition to using the folders that I set up and the 2-minute rule, I added task extraction from one of the more recent podcasts that Aaliyah did. It was magic. I had a pen and pad next to my computer, and anything that didn't fit into one of the folders or took longer than 2 minutes went on the list. My inbox now only has 23 messages in it. I have a task list that I can add to my next actions and project lists, and I know the system works. I know that there will be times when I get overwhelmed again, but I also know that I have a plan of attack when I can get back at it. I am so very, very grateful. This just made me so happy because thinking about all Pam was going through, and then that she's able to apply the systems, bit by bit to be able to alleviate her stress.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in our STEP community, our STEP Mastery and Self-Study members, it's a wonderful program, very simple modules to go through and build this Command Central that helps you get out of the chaos of our daily lives and helps you be able to go to bed content and wake up excited. Like it literally is trying to change the way in which we live our lives. And it is so funny actually to me in our STEP communities, so many people feel like they're failing if they haven't completed all the modules or fully built the Command Centrals. But as you can see from kind of Pam's experience, literally it's this process of keeping at it, making progress, continuing to build something, develop a system or routine, and just keep moving forward because little by little, the situation gets better and better until you feel like you have pretty full control over all the variables that can be controlled.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you don't have to put all of it into place at once. Just being part of this podcast community, part of the LearnDoBecome community, being in a program and maybe in the Facebook group, just seeing things bit by bit makes a difference.
Absolutely.
All
So
right,
the next story I want to share is from Lucy. She says, my biggest takeaway has been differentiating between a mind sweep and a to-do list. The lifting of the feeling of dread when looking at a so-called list has been revolutionary. Now I know that everything I want to do is written down, that I have carefully considered my priorities, and that I will get to things in due course. My brain is peaceful. If I forget whether or not something is on my mind, on the mind sweep list, I can just check and reassure myself, and again, peace. And I love two phrases in there. My brain is peaceful, right? Mm-hmm. This idea that approaching all the projects, all the tasks, the things that need us, getting those out of your head into a very simple system allows your brain, your soul, to be peaceful. And I love how you said that. I can reassure myself again and again, peace.
Well, one of the reasons why this is so important to me is because most people are looking to quiet their brain. And there are a lot of great techniques with meditation, meditations, what I was going to say, yoga, trying to have time to be able to relax, right? But if you don't have a system to know when you're paying your bills or when you're going to clean out the fridge or when you're going to be able to go to work or get to that birthday party, you can try to convince yourself as much as you want that everything is calm, but you're still going to be frazzled. And so this is really important.
Well, to be quite honest, over the last week or so, I've kind of let my system kind of get a little away from me. And there are a number of things that are required of me, both professionally and some responsibilities that I have. And when I don't have this kind of simple approach, you feel that stress. You feel that kind of build on you a little bit. But I took some time this morning and kind of ironed some of that out and got stuff kind of realigned, a quick perspective. And again, my soul is peaceful. So it is a night and day difference. And that really is what we want for every member of our LearnDoBecome community, as well as for everyone in the world. So we have a number of things that allow you to connect with us. And if you're not in a position to be part of one of the programs, we have a wonderful Facebook group for our LearnDoBecome community in general. It's a free Facebook group. Definitely encourage you to be there or be here on the podcast. And just start building what and where you can, and then keep taking steps forward from there where you're able.
All right, I'm going to jump into the next one, but I do want to share that as some of our community members are referencing specific podcast episodes, we have a whole directory of episodes by topic and length and all of that, and we'll link that on the show notes page.
It's the LearnDoBecome podcast directory.
You can go to learndobecome.com/directory if you just want to find it, but we'll also have it on the show notes page. Okay, this is from Adair. And she says, I've been a member of LearnDoBecome for several years now. I cannot tell you how much this membership has helped me. She goes, although I'm not near the productivity ninja of April and the staff, which that made me laugh.
They are ninjas.
I have learned so much about how to manage life and move forward. I'm always a sucker for a well-written, context-based next actions list. And this month, I'm focusing on project management. Before learning how to handle a project, I had no clue about tasks, projects, and the difference between the two. I'm slowly but surely learning the rhythm of my year, when I can do more projects, when I need to scale back, and consciously trying to make time each week to move my projects forward. I'm very much a work in progress, but I feel so much peace, again, I love that word, knowing that things are getting done and having a plan for future projects. This week, I have many projects I'm working on, and I'm enjoying working on my next actions list. So excited to be able to look back and see what I've accomplished. I've also enjoyed the Arise themes of the month and the monthly calls. That's what Eric and I do together in the Arise membership. Although I often cannot attend the live call, I appreciate the recordings. I love being able to focus on the monthly theme and learn from others. Whenever I listen to Learn, Do, Become materials, I'm always lifted up and appreciate it so much. Keep on doing what you're doing, April, Eric, and Learn, Do, Become team. You're making a difference in the world, and I'm now trying to pass these concepts on to my children. Just means a lot.
I love that. And I mean, it is fun because, not that we have, a lock on all the principles or all the truths and ideas that we're teaching, but as a community, we're trying to all find and cultivate best practices, great ideas, truth, and share them with one another. And so it's fun to see someone saying, I'm growing and developing myself, but also trying to pass these concepts on to our children, our grandchildren, those that we have stewardship with. So I love that. It's a powerful principle.
Super sweet. Okay, you want to read Roxana's?
Sure. It says, hello, Roxana here from Long Island, New York. Ooh, do I have a lesson applied to share. Prior to me starting the STEP program, my preparations to attending parties were pretty much zero. One vivid story was my friend's baby shower. I never brought the gift on time, and on top of it all, I remembered last minute that I'd also offered to donate small gifts for bingo. I woke up that day, had no idea what I was wearing, no gifts in sight, and realized the party was over in New Jersey. I literally looked like a crazy person in my home and in the stores I visited on my way to New Jersey. I arrived an hour and a half late. Ugh, how terrible. And, the gift wrapping happened in the car prior to me going to the party, and no card. It was so stressful. A quick aside, none of us listening here can relate to that, right? No last-minute details racing to get something done. All right, back to the story. Since taking the STEP class, I have a routine in which I pick out my outfits 1 week before, including parties and church outfits. I also have my emails to zero, so I don't miss emails. And as soon as I see an invite, I create a task so that I can order the gift the day I get the invite. I have an upcoming party this Saturday, and not only am I ready with the gift and what I'm wearing, I also have personalized family cards so I can write her a note ahead of time and, drumroll please, I know exactly where I'm going and what time to leave so I can be 15 minutes early. Life-changing. As a matter of fact, Saturday I have 2 events and need 2 outfits, and they're hanging in my closet. I cannot express how much I love you guys. I'm still working on things, but I'm so much better. I now arrive calm to parties with a smile and so much love to share, and you guys are my secret to it all. Of course, I tell anyone that will listen to become a stepper, #stepper for life. I'm also very proud that I didn't forget the submittal of this entry. That's because I had a reminder, a trigger in my calendar that today was the deadline. And here are some pictures to make April smile.
And then she included a screenshot of her calendar event. She actually sent us a bunch of pictures of her outfit and her gift. And it was so awesome. We'll post, a couple things here in the show notes. But this just made me so happy because the thing is, it's not just that Roxana needs more parties to go to. It's that she cares about the people in her life. She wants to be there to celebrate their baby. She wants to be in these places feeling ready, like she said, with love to share.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to feel calm and peaceful and just ready to pay attention to your loved ones when you're frazzled, late, you didn't know where you were going to be, all that kind of stuff.
And I think all of us have different things that are expected of us or required of us. What I love about Roxana's story is it just shows that we can take the little steps or adjustments we need to not be frazzled and rushing, but to literally be a little bit pre-prepared. You don't have to prepare 8 months in advance, but to know what's coming, to be ready for it. So you're actually looking forward to it as opposed to kind of oh, what am I forgetting? And then realizing you forgot it and rushing and racing in a frantic, pace to get there. So I just am so excited to hear each person's adaptations of the STEP principles. And she used the word steppers. That's what our members of the STEP community have named themselves, steppers. So steppers for life.
So cute. Thank you. All right, this little brief one from Emily, but she said, just wanted to say a massive congratulations for being about to reach 200 episodes. I remember your 100th one, April, and that was such a milestone. I love your podcast. It always motivates and cheers me up. Thank you for all you do. And it's funny because I haven't actually met Emily in person. She lives, I believe it's in England, but we did a Zoom call, I think 10 years ago. We were talking about some of the principles of a program, and she's been in a rise and just got to know her. And it's amazing to be able to build friendships with people all around the globe, even though we aren't next door neighbors and even though we're not, going out to lunch together. We really do have true relationships with these amazing friends, and I just feel such a closeness and connection. So thank you, Emily. Okay, And then I'm going to go ahead and read Aubrey's as well. She wrote this darling email, and she said...
And she's 17 years old.
She's 17 years old. Okay, so she wrote, I hope this email finds you well. I'll try to keep it short so you can read it in 2 minutes or less, which that just makes me smile. So essentially, she's 17. She's starting college in the fall. She's been getting organized, and her mom had been listening to the podcast, and she said when she started getting excited about getting organized, I had to check it out too. I have been binging all of the free resources and have been learning so much. I even got to the point where the podcast intro song got stuck in my head.
That's a dangerous place to be when you're listening to it that much.
And a pause the other day, Grace, she does our YouTube video editing, and she puts the same music on our YouTube videos. And at the end, she's like, okay, dance party, everyone. So our whole family...
And she played the whole version, which none of us have ever heard the whole version.
Yeah, it's usually snippets.
Yeah, like in snippets. So like Aaliyah, she's like, what?
I haven't even
and she
heard
gets
the
into this.
song.
We have like this family dance party, this fun little music.
It was awesome. Okay, but I thought it was cute. But so then she continues. I don't have a ton of money to go buy supplies, so I have been using what I have to make my own Command Central. And that's totally how we recommend everyone begins.
Absolutely.
I repurposed my old high school binder and made tabs for my support materials, tickler, and incubation files. It is so nice having a place for everything and always knowing where to find things. And the flat surfaces in my room are all clean, and it makes me feel so much better. And the sight of an empty email inbox is the best ever. I have a lot to do this summer before college, but with my current projects and next actions lists, I feel much more excited to get everything done. And college doesn't seem so daunting when I know I can break things down and work on projects piece by piece. That just gives me chills even just reading it because I'm so excited for her. Thank you for having so many free resources and for helping me create systems so I can focus on what matters most. I feel so much happier and excited about life. I've also been making more time for reading, thanks to those podcast episodes about reading, and it has been so great. I just finished How You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen and really enjoyed it. If you haven't read that one, I definitely recommend it, and we love that book. Yeah. Yes.
We're giving you her recommendation as well, so take a recommendation from Aubrey and us.
Such a good book. Amazing. She goes, thanks again. Her PS made me laugh. Eric and Aaliyah actually read the email before me. They're like, April, you got to read the PS. She goes, I feel like I'm emailing a celebrity, but I trust that you will see this since you're probably the celebrity with the most organized email inbox. Now, first of all, I don't consider myself a celebrity, but I thought it was so funny, just so cute.
But she does have the most organized email box. # true. So, no, actually, Aaliyah and I, when we first read it and then shared it with April, we were just touched by Aubrey, like how she's kind of adapted the principles that she's found through the podcast and other things, through the program. And yeah, building her own Command Central in her own way. And so, not to call attention to something there, but we were just talking as a team, like, we should send her an Amazon gift card or something. So she has some, can buy some additional resources or whatever material she wants to kind of keep enhancing that Command Central. But I love that principle, and we teach it in the STEP program, that you can build a Command Central with what you have on hand. You can even make like your cubbies out of cereal boxes. Like, I love watching scrappy, homespun Command Centrals. So, when you have that ability a little later to add some additional things and kind of pretty it up, that's great. But the functionality is there. So there is that. And we're just like excited for Aubrey. She steps into her university life.
So cute. Okay, you want to read Rachel's?
Yeah. Rachel said, I was gifted with this program and I didn't realize how much I needed it. I struggle with poor executive function and all or nothing habits. I don't do the program perfectly, and honestly, nobody does. But what I've been able to implement has given me really great wins. My husband jokes that paper is my kryptonite, and I feel like I've made great progress in getting a handle on papers and email. I'm getting better at my lists, and when I'm sticking to my routines, I really notice a difference. Also learning that 10 minutes is enough and I don't have to ignore a task because I won't finish it. We call those microbursts, right? 10-minute little efforts to move something forward. Then she finishes by saying, I still have a ways to go, but this has been the most practical and useful program to help me get organized and handle the day-to-day. And I just love that. Like, she's just got this great perspective, and I love that. I don't do the program perfectly. And honestly, there's no perfect way to move through the STEP program. But it's taking the principles, the concepts, the structure, and personalize it. And we really do teach it in a way that every person can personalize it to the circumstance they're in, their life stage, and just build the system that's really going to work for them, help them get out of the daily overwhelm, and truly be able to, again, wake up excited and go to bed content.
And I really like how she emphasized that the 10 minutes is enough, because that is one of the main reasons why so many people procrastinate projects, is because they think, well, if I can't do the whole thing, I can't do it at all. But how many things require hours of time? And how often do you have hours of open time with no interruptions? Like hardly ever, right? So learning how to break things down into those microbursts, learning how to put kind of a bookmark in the project by knowing that it's still on a current projects list. It doesn't have to be top of mind to get done, but it can be in a system that supports you. That's why this is so powerful. So thank you, Rachel. Okay, next is Katie. I've been listening to your podcast since I first found you 3 years ago. And then I'm glad she feels inspired and said some nice words, which I wasn't trying to turn this into, like, let's compliment April and Eric.
Mostly April, because she's the one podcasting.
No, but she said, I joined STEP and then STEP Mastery, and I'm finally feeling like I have a handle on my life. I still have a long ways to go. The podcast that meant the most to me was the one on Asana. I love Asana, and that's a project management software, that ASANA.
It's not a heated wood box in which you can have therapeutic benefits.
Right. She said, I love Asana, but just didn't see how it was anything other than a list. Now I'm working my list with better results and feeling like I have more control over my time and energy. Thank you for all you do. Look forward to listening to more podcasts.
Would anyone out there listening like more control over their time and energy?
I love that she said that. And what we do, if you're wondering, well, what are you talking about with lists and Asana? Basically, when most people use project management software, they just put a bunch of tasks in there, but it's usually a compilation of tasks and errands and routines and projects, and it's usually just lumped into one big long list.
But they think that long list is just a list of tasks, and if it were, it'd still be a little overwhelming, but it could be doable.
Yeah.
But when it's a bunch of routines and also multi-step projects,
all in one list
of things you think are steps
hard,
and tasks,
yeah.
like you're never going to move them forward and you're going to feel overwhelmed. You will procrastinate that.
And while we don't insist that everybody use Asana as they build their Command Central, the principles that we teach in that podcast and other resources on the site about it apply to really any other software that you'd want to use. So anyway, check that out if you want more.
Okay, next community member we want to celebrate is Olga. She says, congratulations on the upcoming 200th episode. I love your podcast and your STEP program, and I listen to your podcast on a regular basis. In fact, I'm doing a personal marathon on listening to all the episodes backwards, LOL. I don't know if that means from like 200 to 1 or she's listening to all episodes backwards to see if there's like any hidden like productivity messages in there. I don't know. Let us know, Olga. A few things that I found helpful from your podcast and applied in my life. I now have an outbox returns box sitting on a bench next to the exit to the garage. It is so much easier now to remember what I wanted to take with me or return because it has a place to be in and wait for me. I'll be applying your suggestions from the home organizing party this summer, and I have already found helpful to have a schedule for me and my kids to follow while we're on vacation and have more time to just be at home. I bought and worked through Positive Parenting Solutions course as well. It is such a game changer for the dynamic in our family.
And we'll have a link to that on the show notes page.
Yeah, that's a great program for parenting by our friend Amy McCready, and she is incredible. And she says, Olga goes on to say, I've read or put on my reading list quite a few of the books you recommended, including It's Here Somewhere. And I enjoyed your interview with the author of the book. There are so many more ideas that I applied into my life from your podcast. It is hard to remember them all at the moment. Congratulations again. I'm looking forward to listening to more episodes on your podcast.
I love it. It's so fun. And what she's referencing with that home organizing party, we have this 9-part series that has little short podcasts, and then we have bonus resources as well. So anyway, you can check that out. We'll have links to all of this on the show notes page, which is LearnDoBecome.com/episode 200. All right, on to Christine. The joy I experience every time I step into my clean pantry, as opposed to reaching in and hoping nothing falls out on me, has also created more than the equivalent space in my brain, as I am not wasting all my brain power thinking about the mess, how much I need to fix the mess, finding anything in the mess. It started as a 2-minute cleanup, a doable chewable of the bottom shelf. I started in the pantry as I needed to win, and I knew I could win with a small space. Onward to all the other bigger spaces that need it. This is awesome because we have quite a few resources about how to tackle small spaces. And although I don't consider myself a decluttering expert and I don't feel like I'm all about cleaning and organizing, I am about getting out of overwhelm and often it's about doing something like cleaning out a closet or cleaning a drawer or a pantry and just getting some order in the spaces that we're in every day. And as we learn how to do it by looking at it as a little mini project, doing it in microbursts, knowing where to put the tasks that are inevitably going to come out of that, then it just feels so good.
Love it. All right. The next community member who had some favorites from the podcast is Jennifer. And she said, when I found Learn to Become podcast last summer, I set out to listen to every single one. The 7 rules I need to replace was one episode that really helped. I love the one about just working on a project for 10 minutes. And after listening to the one about how to take notes during meetings, I have a printout that I use for all my conferences now. I really like the one about the top 5 life-changing things you can do. I now eat green veggies every day, and I keep those other areas as my top priority with the reminder sheet. So I love that.
Oh, great.
Just and podcast by podcast, there might just be one little thing, one little nugget that may be helpful to you in your life or the situation, circumstance you're in. So I love hearing the different things that Jennifer gleaned from those.
Next is Jenny. She said, I love to hear... Oh, no, I don't want to read this part.
I will read it for you because it's like spot on.
It's cute.
She's like, I love to hear April's sweet, encouraging, full of grace messages on the podcast. And, April gets she doesn't want to be self-promoted at all, but, she does. I think she speaks from her heart. She speaks with a voice that truly understands and wants to help support and build other people. So I think Jenny's spot on. She said, the podcasts often inspire me to get moving when I listen while I'm getting ready for my day. I typically start small, and I'm willing to keep going once I make that first move. And that's a huge lesson. I love that Jenny's got that, and she's doing that in her life. Because, once you start something, you take that first step, that first action, you've got momentum, right? And momentum can be redirected and keep building to get the results that we want. And she just said that the podcast has motivated me to take that first step many times.
Very sweet. Thanks, Eric. All right, next is Amy. I've been helping my parents to declutter and organize. We've lightened up their kitchen by going through lots of stuff and old food, and lightened it up literally by adding lights in their dark pantry to make it easier for them to find things. That momentum hits a wall as soon as I get home, though. Horizontal surface disease has left no table untouched, and each greeting card, magazine, newspaper clipping, file folder, handmade item, and craft project has a story. It's incredibly hard for me to part with things, and that's always been linked with shame and has felt like a weakness. Learn to Become's approach has been so helpful to me in creating systems to process things. April's love, compassion, and encouragement come over the waves so clearly. Her conversation with Julie Morgenstern, podcast 19, about clutter and how it represents an attachment that's important to us and how it's a point of entry to learn something about ourselves blew my mind. Looking at my things and my difficulty with shedding certain things as bits of information about people I cherish and things I'd like to do or learn about and issues that are important to me, etc., rather than reminders that I'm overly sentimental and weak, has been really illuminating and freeing somehow. It's helped me to see my priorities more clearly. I'm still working on setting up my command central and getting my systems going, but the mental shift from seeing my things and my difficulties not as signs of my personal failings, but as messages, has changed how I see the decluttering process. That just brings tears to my eyes. I love that.
Love that. That's awesome, Amy. I mean, and it's an insight. I mean, we might be talking about some topic or interviewing somebody, and like you have a personal epiphany or some insight that you have about your life, your circumstance. And we do. We hope that for you it can become something that's positively and powerfully changing. So great job.
Just one more quick note. We had an Arise call yesterday, and what I notice is we do Q&A usually at the end of each call, and often people will share things like, okay, I've been struggling with this, or I need help with this, but sometimes as we go a little bit deeper, they open their hearts even more. And what I notice is that a lot of us carry stress and shame thinking, oh, I should be doing more, I should be doing better. But when we actually pause and look at how much love and how much compassion is at the root of our stress, and see how your goodness, like those, all the things that you value, like that's your strength. Sometimes it's also the weakness because you care so much, right? But it's just beautiful to stop for a minute and acknowledge like anything that's a mess, anything that's stressful, it's just because there's a lot of good in you and you're just learning how to make those decisions.
Yeah, just kind of tie into that. I think actually one of the insights that April shared in the last couple of years with me is like, when we are like really wrestling with something or struggling and we see maybe something we would deem as a weakness, sometimes it really reveals a lot of good about us. Like, why do we care, like how much we care about people or a relationship or a situation. And so oftentimes maybe we're conditioned to take a lot of those thoughts or feelings and redirect them negatively, thinking, oh, well, we just really get down on ourselves. But when you step back and kind of realize what some of our behaviors or some of our habits really are telling about ourselves, yes, we still may want to make a change in that habit or behavior, but it's really helpful, maybe even empowering, to recognize, well, what are the good things about this current habit or behavior that it shows me or tells me about myself, to use those as part of the reframe and part of the motivation to make that habit change. So, we can all always change and become better in our lives.
All right. Final one is from Adriana. I heard you mention When the Body Says No. That's a book by Gabor Mate. In one of the podcast episodes, I have dealt with health challenges most of my life, and what you mentioned intrigued me. I recently borrowed the book from my library, and it has been instrumental in empowering me to take charge of my health in a new way and helping me identify emotional connections so I can address issues on that level too and heal more holistically. This is just one example of how the podcast has helped me. Thank you so much for your kind and encouraging heart and the way you share that with us through the podcast. So thank you, and thanks for sharing that.
I love that, Adriana. And actually, it's kind of funny as she talks about, books that April's read and shared. Like, April and I both love to read. I think we were earlier in our marriage, we read pretty equally, but like April has become, I always loved hearing the word voracious reader. Like, it sounds like they just like rip the books apart and eat them, devour them. Voracious. She reads voraciously. April shares a lot on our walks and time together about things that she's read.
Book.
I heard on this podcast, I read this study, and I love that she's a lifelong learner, right? But one of the benefits I think that comes to all of us in the community is that she loves being able to read and learn, and then be able to take that and be able to disseminate that to people in a consumable way, right? Take some of the key principles and share it so that all of us can get a feel for the ideas, the principles. And then just like Adriana said, she actually was intrigued, and so she went and borrowed that book. Like, she doesn't borrow every book that April recommends, but I love how many of our community members will take something they heard from April about a book that said something in a way that means something in their life, and then really goes deeper into that source. And so while we don't ever want to try to plagiarize or take any content or intellectual property from great authors and thinkers out there, we love to learn from them and then take some of what they've shared and disseminate it to our community. And hopefully it's done in a way that, it's beneficial to all, but then for some of the people in the community, they might want to go deeper. So hopefully it leads them to finding great authors and thinkers, but also allows our community to become stronger. We love that our community members do that as well. They come across something amazing and they share it back with us. So I love this idea of lifelong learning and growth.
Well, and just to add to that, there have been so many times I've wanted to go back and delete our old episodes because I was embarrassed. I thought, man, I can't believe I used to think that, or I can't believe I used to struggle with that, or I can't believe I said that out loud on the podcast. And I wrote that one time in I think it was in our Step Mastery group. I said, I just want to go back and delete podcasts. And we had so many people say, no, don't delete them. We want to hear where you were and your weaknesses and the things you're embarrassed about. Like, that
and
makes
you
you
human. And how you learned
and
and how you grew.
Right, because that's what Learn, Do, Become is. And every episode that we record from this point forward, there are going to be our weaknesses manifested in those. And it helps me, though, not to be a perfectionist. I mean, even in the beginning of this podcast, Eric and I were a little grumpy with each other. It's gotten better, right?
It's tricky to podcast together sometimes.
Well, there's a lot of growth in every area of our lives. And so I just appreciate this community. And what Adriana was saying about the book, When the Body Says No, I mean, I'd been sharing how I'd been sick. I mean, I spent a lot of months over the past few years incredibly sick. And I didn't really realize what was going on. And as I started learning, oh my goodness, it's this, what's happening inside my head that's at the heart of it. And Eric would tell me that. Like, he wasn't trying to say, oh, it's just in your head, because I literally was sick. But it was me trying to please everyone. It was me trying to do things I thought I needed to do. It was me not saying things because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever.
It was a lot of a mental, emotional kind of forces that were actually affecting them, the physical, right?
Making me just so sick. And so as I start to learn from my coaches and my mentors and reading and, having these experiences, I just really love to be able to share it with you to help hopefully save you time and help give you access to actual tips and strategies and things you can do so you can wake up excited and go to bed content.
Yeah. And as we have a little family joke sometimes, we're like, hey, April, TMI. And it's not too much information. It's tell more information. Like, no, we really don't like, sometimes we do want you to tell us more, and sometimes it's too much information.
He's talking about when I talk about books, because I'll say something like, okay, so I'm reading this book, and here's what I learned, and did you know that your brain actually...
We joke that like you could just start with your brain does this and it does this there. Like a couple of sentences, and it's like she's literally like writing her own bibliography before like all the scientific and literary references before she starts into the things she shares. So we love her.
So I appreciate the podcast as my outlet because my family doesn't.
I will tell you more information, podcast episode by podcast episode.
All right, so we will get ready to close up, but just a few things before we close up. Again, if you want to see all of the podcast episodes that we have, just come to LearnDoBecome.com/episode 200. We have all the links to the directory and all the stuff we're mentioning here, and that link to Amy McCready's Positive Parenting Solutions, plus our Amazon bookstore. There's a lot of fun stuff that we have for you there. But also, I just want you to get excited with us about what's coming at Learn, Do, Become, because even though, we've had a lot of success up to this point with all these podcast episodes and all our amazing community members and building our programs, I kind of feel like we're just getting started, to be honest, because it's like,
absolutely.
Okay, now I'm ready to step more into our next phase of Arise. We have an incredible community there. I feel like I'm really when you find your stride, or how do you say it?
Hitting your stride?
Hitting your stride.
You find it first, then you hit it.
Hit my stride. I feel like we're learning what our community needs and wants and how to be able to structure things so we're all excited about it.
And we're attracting more and more of our community to that community, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The right people are just coming in saying, look, this is really helpful, the way you kind of talk about different topics. We kind of create a bunch of subtopics from 6 core areas that Arise really centers on. And you can learn more about that on the Arise page. But it truly is an amazing community to kind of focus subtopic by subtopic, month by month, have some amazing kind of coaching calls in the month after our kind of live call, sharing ideas from books, sharing just all kinds of things inside of this membership community month by month.
And Arise prizes. We just launched
I was going to say, we were talking about the little gift card for Albert. This idea that we want our Rise community to celebrate their wins, how they're growing, doing something new outside their comfort zone to become stronger, better. And so every time they do that, we want them to submit in this little form what they did. And each one of those little submissions becomes a little entry for some Arise prizes
so fun.
That we'll draw, pretty regularly.
So there's lots of fun in our Arise program, in our STEP program, and just in our free community too, because Eric and I, as we've been talking about it, it's really important to us to be able to provide free information and paid coaching for people who want to go to the next level and are in a position to do that.
Yeah.
But we love all of you so much, and I just hope that you can feel our love and our desire for you to be able to improve your life wherever you are.
Yeah. We were actually on a walk yesterday morning just talking about this podcast episode, and we were talking about being excited for all that is happening and still to come at Learn to Become in these different programs, these different communities. Just kind of bringing up the idea, like, when we talk about it, I hope it doesn't sound like a commercial or a promotion of those things, because it isn't. We're not trying to have anybody feel like, oh, you need to come buy something or pay for something with us. We have plenty of free resources, and if that's where you're able to start or to dig in, please do. Like, we want everyone to connect and benefit in some way. But for many of the other things that we have offered, like, build to that, learn about it, because it's a simple and loving invitation that there are going to be some amazing things that are happening and will be happening in the future inside of the STEP program, inside of the Arise membership. And we are just so excited to be able to grow forward together with the people who are part of these communities, because, there are incredible people at Learn to Become. And it's been a privilege to really be able to get to know them, as we have that opportunity to do so, to read their experiences, their stories, their wins, things that they've learned, ways that they've grown, ways they're changing their lives for the better. And really, that is at the heart of why we created Learn to Become 8 years ago now. Its 8th birthday was a week ago. And so we created that community to be able to gather people who truly want to learn, to do, and then to become their better and best selves. And so as you're listening to this, please, like April said, know how much we love you and are grateful for taking the time to listen to us, to be with us, to be connected to this amazing community. And the best is yet to come. Things are getting better and better. And just great things ahead.
All right. We love you guys. Have a great day. And we will see you soon at LearnDoBecome.com.
Take care.